Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We have a packed show for you, with a focus on international trade and diplomacy. We start with a significant development in the world of trade, as the United States and the United Kingdom have announced a new agreement to reduce tariffs on certain goods. The deal, which was signed by President Donald Trump, will see tariffs on UK cars shipped to the US reduced from 25% to 10%. This is a welcome move for British car manufacturers, who have been facing significant challenges in exporting their products to the US market. The agreement also includes provisions for the removal of tariffs on certain aerospace products and sets up a system for steel and aluminum imports. However, it's worth noting that the deal does not address the expected removal of charges on steel imports, which has been a major point of contention between the two countries. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has hailed the agreement as a very important day for both countries, saying it will help to shield British businesses from the impact of Trump's tariffs. The deal is seen as a significant step forward in the relationship between the US and the UK, and it's expected to have positive implications for trade between the two nations. However, not everyone is celebrating the agreement. Some critics have argued that the deal is limited in scope and does not address many of the key issues affecting trade between the US and the UK. Others have expressed concerns about the potential impact on food standards, as the agreement includes provisions for increased imports of US beef and ethanol. As always, we'll be taking a balanced look at this story and exploring all the different perspectives. We'll be discussing the implications of this agreement and what it might mean for trade between the US and the UK, as well as the potential impact on other countries around the world. We'll also be examining the broader context of international trade and diplomacy, including the ongoing tensions between the US and other major economies. It's a complex and rapidly changing landscape, and we'll be doing our best to break it down for you and provide insight into what it all means. So, stay tuned for more on this story and other top news from around the world. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're glad you're joining us again for this middle segment of our show. Today we're exploring two fascinating stories that highlight the evolving landscape of news consumption and social media. First, let's take a look at a report from Australia, where a recent study has found that more people are getting their news from social media than traditional sources for the first time. According to the University of Canberra's News and Media Research Centre, 26% of respondents now use social media as their main source of news, surpassing online news outlets. This trend is particularly pronounced among young Australians, with over a third watching news videos on TikTok and Instagram. This shift in news consumption habits has significant implications for the way we access and engage with information. On one hand, social media platforms have made it easier for people to stay informed about current events, with many news organizations now having a strong presence on these platforms. On the other hand, there are concerns about the spread of misinformation and the potential for echo chambers, where people only encounter information that reinforces their existing views. To balance this out, let's consider another story from the Netherlands, where the government has proposed a ban on social media for children under the age of 16. This move is part of a broader effort to protect young people from online harms and promote healthier social media habits. However, some critics argue that such bans can be overly restrictive and may not address the root causes of these problems. As we navigate this complex landscape, it's essential to approach these issues with nuance and balance. While social media has its drawbacks, it also offers many benefits, including increased accessibility and connectivity. By being aware of these trade-offs and taking steps to promote media literacy, we can work towards creating a healthier online environment that supports informed and engaged citizens. In conclusion, the way we consume news and interact with social media is undergoing a significant transformation. As we move forward, it's crucial to prioritize critical thinking, media literacy, and open dialogue about these issues. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're closing out today's show with a look at some of the latest developments in international news. As we've been following, tensions between Russia and Ukraine continue to escalate, with both sides trading accusations and engaging in diplomatic maneuverings. According to recent reports, the U.S. has quietly disbanded a working group that was focused on pressuring Russia into peace talks with Ukraine. The group, which was formed earlier this year, included officials from various government agencies and was tasked with developing policy options for the U.S. to take a harder line on Russia. However, it appears that the group's efforts were ultimately unsuccessful, and its dismissal has raised questions about the U.S.'s commitment to resolving the conflict. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has been facing criticism from European allies for his actions in Ukraine, and there are concerns about the potential for further escalation. In a recent statement, Putin blamed the U.S. for an attempted drone strike on his residence, which the White House denied any involvement in. In other news, the U.S. and Russia have also been at odds over issues such as sanctions enforcement and foreign influence. The Trump administration has faced criticism for its handling of these issues, with some arguing that it has taken a too soft approach towards Moscow. It's worth noting that the situation is complex and multifaceted, with many different players and interests involved. As always, we strive to provide a balanced and fair view of the news, without taking sides or promoting any particular agenda. In related news, there have been reports of Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory, resulting in casualties and damage. The Russian military has also announced plans to send thousands of personnel to help rebuild the affected areas. As we wrap up today's show, it's clear that the situation between Russia and Ukraine remains volatile and uncertain. We'll continue to monitor developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.